Hey YouTube, this is now the second week I've been on Joyland. So it's Sunday, been 14 days, 100% on Joyland. And I had a really interesting week. Earlier this week, for 2 days, I went down to Belgium and we had a little family trip. And that was quite an interesting experience. What I mean by that, we each, towards the end of the day, we had meals where we ate, well, not me, but them per se, uh, ate some pretty good-looking, delicious meals, and they were of course horrible for you. It was at a campground, so it was camp food. It was fried food, um, as the Dutch say, frikandel, which is a sausage type substance, and croquettes, which is a meat substance in the middle with breading. But what I'm getting at was, I brought my Joylent shake while they ate their fried food, and my family um, thought it was quite interesting, the shake. One thing I immediately noticed was they kept on apologizing for eating this tasty forbidden food while I was eating my Joyland. But I didn't mind the Joyland actually, but I did notice it created a interesting atmosphere because it's something they had been, I don't know if it's because they're not used to it, or they think that because they're unaware of it, it doesn't taste good. But I noticed that they felt a bit of guilt when they were eating their meal compared to mine. In addition, I would like to expand upon what I made in these past couple videos, was that my energy levels are great. My digestion is great. Earlier, before I started Joylent, I used to have issues with heartburn, and this has greatly subsided. Mostly, sometimes before I go to bed, I have slight heartburn issues, but previously, before I started the experiment, I had heartburn issues majority of the time, and that is really good news. In addition, I have eczema, and while I'm on Joylent, what's cool is I still get flares of eczema, but not quite nearly as often and frequent. To give you an example, usually I would get them more towards the night, and on my previous lifestyle, always around 8 p.m. I would have flare-ups of eczema on my arms and on my back. But now on Joylent, I think I've gotten one flare-up in the past 2 weeks since I've been on it, so that's really cool. Other than that, my weight has been steady. I've only lost a kilo, but I like to attribute that to, I think, water weight. Some days I drink a little bit more, a little bit less water. It always varies. And as you may know, water weight can account for a couple kilos easily. Other than that, I feel good. I like being on it. I noticed something different would be, I like to notice other people's behavior, and what I noticed was people maybe eat a bit more in social situations, and then while you're on Joyland, you get all that you measure yourself out to be and all you need. So you never really overeat or undereat. It's just the right amount. I think that's really cool. Lastly, I guess would say would be the social situation. It's a bit awkward, so to speak, because they're unfamiliar with the product. And while you're eating, normally when you're eating this, you're having conversations about different things, it always tends to come back to the Joyland shake. And I think that's a bit interesting, a bit something, like I said, I think people, it's new, and no one's that used to it. And it's kind of hard for people who don't do the challenge to fully comprehend, I think, that this is all we eat. But it does contain all that you need in a day. So even though it's liquid, it's different than what they're eating. It's not necessarily subpar or worse. Other than that, that's about it. I'm going to go ahead and post a bit more pictures on my blog space, and then give you guys a bit more in-depth description of what I talked about today. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them down in the bottom, and see you guys.